Hello and welcome to Ogilvy.com. We're backstage at Spikes 2016 with Ray and Chester. We're fresh off the stage, having talked about eSports. Ray from Twitch, can I start with a question? How much bigger do you think eSports can get, Ray?
We already know that this is heading toward $1 billion market. I mean, and thinking about the hundreds of millions of people that are already tuned in, it really is sky's the limit. I mean, this is a sport that anybody can participate in. It takes skill, it takes, talent, it takes perseverance to levels of a professional athlete. But effectively, at the beginning, it's something that anybody can start in, anybody can enjoy. And once you get the finer intricacies of esports, it becomes an incredible journey. And I can't really, we've spoke about this on stage, but I can't say it enough. As far as understanding in depth the strategy, this is really quite a breakthrough. It's kind of, you can watch it casually, understand what's going on and enjoy it, or you can get all the way into the skills, strategy, setup, characters, the different versions of the games that you can play, and it can be as intricate or as basic as you'd like. So, I mean, really, it's just the beginning now. We're just seeing the start of this, and for anyone who's thinking about getting involved, do it now.
We were talking on the stage about the big opportunity for brands, how they interact with consumers, how it's a captive audience. It's an audience that wants to invite the brands in. I mean, they're looking for that interaction. Consumers wanting to be in the action, not just in front of the action. Brands won't come to it, Chester, until or unless there's some sort of structure around the game. So what is the future of esports and how is it going to be structured? What will it look like in order for brands to be able to buy in and measure their investment in it?
So if you take esports as a generic name, there's actually, in our opinion, about 30 different gaming titles, and they all have their different schedules, and they all have their different events and competitions. And I think one thing that we've been talking about, and we've been talking to some of the big production companies, is, can they just set out a year in advance or 2 years in advance, ultimately, what is the schedule? Because there's some events that do clash, and which I think for some brands, that's not good. They want to know what it is. And also there's some events where you don't actually know until a few weeks before who's competing in that. So you have a knockout competition and there's various different teams, but actually you don't know if that's a cup format. But I think there'll be a bigger move to leagues, which I know there's some big announcements happening in the next kind of month with some brands and publishers about creating some global leagues like a Champions League. So I think they'll need that. And also what we're doing on the British eSports is creating a structure of good governance for amateurs, grassroots up. And I think at the moment the challenge and the growth thing is that there's a smoke screen to parents about what is esports, are they just mucking around, what is it good? I think one of our kind of ambitions with the British government is to promote life skills and cyber skills. So actually parents go, that's good, in moderation, like 2 hours, 3 hours max, but it's better than watching TV. And I think when brands realize how good this is problem solving, and there's a brilliant quote, there's a Russian grandmaster in chess, and he taught his child to play a game called StarCraft, because he said publicly, StarCraft is better than playing chess. And you'd never get a parent saying you're playing too much chess. Yeah. So I think as soon as we kind of promote that, and I'm promoting esports, Twitch is promoting esports, the British government's trying to do it, the Singapore government are doing well as well. And I think what you're going to see is that people are going, rather than just concentrating on Call of Duty or just doing this, the publishers are going to start giving back and helping. And I think, I'm on a trip next week to meet the publishers and just say, look, we need to sort of some collaboration. At the moment, it's been slightly kind of siloed, but I think going forward, people will embrace it more. And this is where, from a marketing point of view, the opportunity is there. And I think last thing is, with certain brands, there are certain games that have certain followers and viewers. And I think they might say, actually, I prefer, supporting this gaming title because it's, either less impactful, it's not shooting and stuff like that. So, and that will change region by region.
At the moment, the numbers that we've just been quoting on stage, Ray, are colossal. I mean, I think actually one of the reports that I saw about e-gaming in general, not esports specifically, was trillion. Now, we're already talking about millions, we're talking about billions. Where is this going to end? I mean, how many people will a brand be able to reach in, say, 2, 3, 5 years' time?
I think it's actually more interesting to talk about how, because the huge numbers are so colossal that at this point, I mean, we're 306 billion minutes of content consumed in a year. I mean, that's centuries of content consumed in live streaming gaming in a year. So forget about the size. The size is unquestionable. The size is mammoth. So now let's start thinking about, so why? And who am I reaching? And the key is that you're reaching the younger audience, definitely. That audience is getting older as families are really interacting around the game. So the games that their kids play become the games that the parents get involved in. So think about it like this. If you have something familiar like me, a Premier League club, I happen to support Chelsea, which makes me a wonderful person. And with Chelsea, it's kind of one of those things where, right, I mean, you know, it ended up the other way for my family, but my father ended up supporting Chelsea because I supported Chelsea. We start buying the kits, we start getting involved in it, and now we bond around that game. That every Saturday morning, every Saturday afternoon, every Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, I get on the phone with my dad to chat about Chelsea. Even if we haven't spoken for a few days because, you know, we're father, son, we speak when we need to. But that type of familial, close relationship is now being built around esports. And what's best about it is the same type of strategies you talk about in traditional sports, you can talk about in esports. The chess grandmaster example, that's perfect. You know, it's not just people running around the screen shooting. It's not that. It is very intricate, very involved. And how you reach people now is through authentic campaigns. You cannot do the traditional, I've been loud and now I've been heard, so my brand is out there. It is now more about, can I honestly influence people to see the value and see what they'll get back from my involvement in their lives? Because everything around live streaming and esports is about community. Everything about it is about engagement, that team spirit, collaboration. So now brands get to reset and almost turn back the clock. You've got the audience. Now you can start thinking about, how am I reaching out to my audience? How am I interacting with them? And what value are they getting out of my brand?
I've got a friend of mine who runs a sports club for a coach for 8-year-olds, and these kids are coming in and they will be playing FIFA, you know, in the evening, and they'll come and they'll say to coach, hey coach, online I did this amazing trick. I would really like to learn how to do that on the pitch. So there's, you know, again, it's not against esports, traditional sports. There's no barrier. It's actually complementary on both. And you know, one of the guys I work with, Andrew Strauss, on the cricket side, is saying, how can we get the youngsters more engaged with cricket? And there are some really good games out there, which, you know, cricket. And a friend of mine, the same guy, actually went to America and he went to a baseball game. And he thought, how am I going to take my kids? I've got an 8-year-old kid and his friend. How am I going to get them into baseball? How do I explain that? So he Googled it. He found a game that was quite a simple baseball game. They played it for the day. They arrived at the stadium. The kids understood about the, you know, the home run, the 3 strikes, because they've been playing the game. And again, I think, you know, this thing on brands, the integration, the crossover, and, you know, I've used the word 100 times, but being relevant is the most important thing. And I think if brands don't get on top of it, you know, they've got to get rid of the smoke screen. And it's you guys need to educate them. So.
It certainly sounds like it. I mean, it's not a niche place at all. I mean, you know, the one thing that brands would need from their consumers is the consumer's ability to spend.
Yes.
So the value of those consumers. So, you know, Chester, what can you tell us about the value of those people? I mean, are they all young kids who can't afford a bag of sweets, or are they going to be people who can afford a little bit more than that in the future? How's it work?
60% are kind of aged between 18 and 34. And they did a study in America, and 33% of people have a household income over $100,000.
Okay.
So it's not kind of like students. There's a good age, and as Ray is saying, as these people are getting older, there's not suddenly just saying, right, I'm stopping gaming, I'm going to watch TV. This generation is going to carry on gaming. And we were just talking earlier in another interview about the traditional model going back to the 50s of the family sitting and watching a TV, and then now everyone's split up. I now game with my family in front of one screen. So it's done a full circle. You know, we're now gaming together as a family. And I think, you know, my son isn't really in traditional sports. He supports Watford, not Chelsea, so that's fine.
No, that's fine.
but so I've realised to engage with my son, which I love more than anything, I've got to do what he's doing. So actually, I'm enjoying the gaming. And as I say, we're working with an academic think tank in eSports in London, and they're doing some really good metrics to prove to parents, to prove to schools that there should be an esports club at school. So you have a chess club, there should be an esports club, because actually the future professions, like side professionals, is led for us. You're not going to, I mean, chess is good, but if you're very adept at problem solving online, you're going to get a career in that in the future if you choose to.